oversimplifications abound. I read plots that focus on our role either as exploited victims who make the heartstring-tugging magazine covers, or us as complicit bystanders, with words like apathetic, slacktivist, and self-obsessed used to describe the members of this new generation as characters. In these cases, we are oversimplified and we are silenced. To be truly reflective of me, to be truly reflective of my global brothers and sisters, this story has to change. Changing the story begins with including us as authors, and policymakers are taking some incredible steps to approach this. The UN Resolution on Policies Involving Youth encourages member states to consider including youth representatives in their delegations at all relevant discussions in the General Assembly and the Economic and Social Council. I wholeheartedly agree with this suggestion, and I would highly encourage member states to take it further than consideration. Back this up with action. I know so many young people whose voices need to be heard and who would benefit from seeing diplomacy firsthand. When we are at the table as equals, having impact on our shared future, we take responsibility seriously. We become the authors of our own story. Allow me to describe this scene. Imagine a group of high school students gathered around a table to discuss the pressing foreign policy issues of the day. They're so passionate about their country's stances on various issues that they start to gesture wildly until someone on the dais shouts decorum. Those of you who are familiar with the UN Foundation's work around spreading model UN clubs around the nation may recognize this as a familiar scenario. In my high school's model UN, we discuss everything from civil war in Syria to arms in North Korea to piracy in Somalia. We could be spending our Wednesday afternoons hanging out with friends, eating frozen yogurt, playing video games, but we don't, because we care deeply about the issues that are shaping our world. We see beyond our own insular bubbles of personal life, school, city, state in these discussions. If such clarity and passion can happen with a group of students in a model UN gathering, just imagine what's possible with students at the table in delegations in the US. Conferences like the Rio Plus 20, the UN World Youth Conference, provide excellent places for young people to author our own story. I feel that sometimes when people imagine greater youth autonomy, it's accompanied by a sort of mental caveat. Maybe this association, like Lord of the Flies, that kids and power is a dangerous combination. The only danger, as I see it, is transformational change. I know that incredible things can happen when young people take center stage and speak up. I think that we'll be seeing some of those impacts today. In my case, I've organized the youth conference, TEDx Redmond, for 3 years now. And the planning committee is all middle and high school students. There was some skepticism initially about what a group of kids could do as organizing a conference would, but last year our audience numbered 1,000 people. Tremendous demand exists for the authentic stories of young people, a demand that I want to help meet. This year I'm planning on continuing the work that I started with TEDx Redmond and organizing a 2-week summit tentatively titled the Adora Conference, as in the Greek word for marketplace or gathering place, for ideas. Targeted at 90 international youth delegates, we'll focus on distinct topic strands from civics to STEM to gender equality. As I begin the process of reaching out to speakers and delegates to shape this authentic youth story, I'm hoping to create partnerships with a wide range of organizations that could aid in building a gathering place of ideas. Supportive endeavors like the Rio Plus 20, TEDx Redmond, or the Adora Conference allows us to author the story. Equally powerful is when young people truly change the plot. The stories of Al-Hassan Omar, Dana Al-Madala, and Yara Sigri provide perfect examples. Al-Hassan, who I had the chance to work with actually 2 weekends ago as part of that summit, created Ebony Nafsa, Develop Yourself, after witnessing the protests and unrest in his hometown of Port Said, Egypt during the Arab Spring. He wondered what the future might hold for youth. His organization focuses on recruiting active Egyptian youth with poor backgrounds and limited education to teach them how to become community leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs. Al-Hassan is making a radical change through youth in his country by giving them the opportunity to hone basic human development skills, tackle math and economics, and learn other languages. This addresses the pressing issue of youth unemployment and creates positive social change in this country as a whole. Dana felt bottled up and thwarted in what she was able to learn at school in Saudi Arabia and decided she wanted to express herself by creating One Hand, One Heart. This organization provides student volunteers the opportunity to teach others, including orphans, sick children, and elderly illiterates, through the use of live broadcasts. Dana is showing other girls that they can be successful and achieve what they want, even in a conservative society. As someone who is interested in the intersections between neuroscience and computer science, she has mentored teams of young people in developing scientific projects. To me, Dana's story shows the vital importance of creativity and how it is a tremendous resource among many of our generation. She's 18 and she began this project a few years ago because she was stifled in a school system that expected her to do little more than learn by rote but contribute little. So she used that creativity and passion to create new ways of learning, peer-to-peer, using video communication, and give everyone the chance to be a student and a teacher. Yara started a camp to help disadvantaged Jordanian girls gain science education, opportunities, and a path to university. These girls were taught performing, but might have never found such opportunities in families that placed greater value on their brothers, in schools that expected little of them, or communities where they were expected to fulfill traditional roles. Yara even secured scholarships for girls who kept up their grades and experienced success in robotics competitions. Dana, Al-Hassan, and Yara's stories show that young people are instrumental in empowering and encouraging their peers. These are not stories of victims waiting to be rescued. This is a story of young people helping each other help themselves. More of this kind of grassroots action needs to be discovered, publicized, and supported. Young people have always had tremendous audacity and imagination. Today, we are empowered to do more with those qualities. That kind of creativity can fuel high-impact nonprofits and groundbreaking companies. Consider the recent news that Yahoo just bought a 17-year-old developer's app for, anyone know how much? $30 million. In a world where a 17-year-old, soon to be 18, I mean, talk about $30 million as a birthday present, can make that much money, you see where the impacts of these qualities, audacity and imagination and tremendous passion, can bring. Young people have increasing power in new settings by using the tools that we have at our disposal. You need look only to the examples provided by some of the speakers following me on these panels to see that we're creating change online. Sometimes we're condemned as slacktivists because it's seen as doing little more than clicking like on Facebook. But in truth, online social movements can be responsible for massive change. Change in ways as concrete as toppling regimes, or as intangible yet crucial as attitude shifts. Consider the greater expectation of transparency that my generation has. Like some of you, I've grown up on a web that seems to answer my every question, providing me the information I want at a click. Running into barriers as I seek knowledge is abnormal to me. How does this mesh with traditional government cultures of secrecy, classification, the archetypal closed door? Simple. Either voluntary approaches, like groundbreaking open government initiatives that publicize and document more of what used to go on behind closed doors, or we find out information for ourselves. This is an age of hackers and citizen journalists, using access to knowledge for greater decision-making power. The ability that we have to use technology means that increasingly we can become the solutions, not the problems. Instead of asking how our online presence can be controlled, consider how we can help, how you can utilize our abilities for our shared goals. Code for America matches young people with local governments so that they can more effectively reach out to citizenry through approaches like apps and websites. 17-year-old Jaisal Patel's NGO Technologies creates tech solutions for nonprofits. He's already implemented a biogas energy system, built information tech infrastructure for an organization supporting Indian hawk weavers, and developed a website for a nonprofit fighting human rights abuses. Think about how many teenagers like Jaisal you may have sitting in your classrooms, in your organizations, in rooms much like this one. They are waiting for the chance to serve. This generation may be your most precious natural resource. Don't let the audacity, imagination, and drive of me and my peers go untapped. Coming of age in a digital world, young people like Al-Hassan, Dana, Yara, Jaisal, and me are redefining ourselves. We are not stock characters in a storybook, the victims in distress waiting to be rescued when the grown-ups arrive, or the narcissistic villains of the me generation. Our world, as you know, is no fairy tale. And yet perhaps one of the most precious things about people my age is that even as we break free from dichotomous assumptions about us as characters within the story, we strive for the same ending. You see, in all the naivete or hope of my youth, I want to believe, no matter how great the conflicts, how vicious the problems, that our story will end with the same oft-heard line as so many childhood tales. And so they lived happily ever after. Thank you.
And your call to action goes to the young people and to the member nations of this organization. I can assure you that your call, your message will have a resonance during the United Nations. I think you have said very well the stage for our discussion.